Hello my gore friends, welcome back to a goretober video this time. So this video is going to be split up into multiple parts just for the sake of my phone's storage. But before we begin this, I do want to say I've seen a couple comments mentioning how they find my videos comforting and my voice comforting, and I want to say I really do appreciate comments like that because I do have an insecurity about how I sound, and getting those comments have made me incredibly happy. You would not imagine. But anyway, let's move on to the video. So with the first prompt, it was insects, and I immediately thought of bees, and when I think of bees, I think of allergies, and it just kind of spiraled into that. So for this piece, I wanted it to be called, or titled, Until the End, and it is a piece where this performer is staying true to their act until the very end, and I just wanted it to embody the phrase of how some people will go very far for their art and how that is their entire life form. I wanted to show that this woman is freezing, but she is still letting the show go on. I didn't add as many bees as I probably should have, but they are there. They're more of a little nod to the fact I did make them stinging her, but I don't know if it reads very well in the final piece. This was the first piece I made, and I did have a lot of fun making it, but now as of the moment and seeing the pieces I've done after this, I just think that it ramps up from here, and that during this journey you're gonna see me improve a lot. Like, shockingly a lot, and I'm honestly happy about it. I'm very happy about it. You can see me at the beginning start heavily referencing and using references very heavily, and then later on you'll see me not use references as much, which I'm very happy about. I love that smoke. So with the smoke, I wasn't originally gonna make it that, but I have a feeling that in this piece it signifies her last breath, or that final breath of air that's coming out as she's performing. I wanted to make her eyes very dead, so I purposely didn't add any shine to them. I wanted flowers to be all over the place because, in my opinion, flowers usually attract bees because of pollen and stuff. So maybe she is somebody who's allergic to bees, but she wanted flowers all over the scene in this cold environment for her act, and it ended up very well backfiring on her, especially with the lack of clothing on her, and in a cold environment she honestly mostly froze in this environment. I hope that makes sense. It's like really late when I'm recording this voiceover, and I don't have any scripts for my videos, so yeah. You can see me shading as I'm working on this, and that's something I find myself doing in this one a lot. In other of my pieces I don't do it, and then if I'm like really feeling the piece, or I feel like it needs just that extra oomph that it gives, I will take and do a little bit of shading with black while I'm doing the line art, but sometimes it just doesn't feel needed to me, so I avoid it, or in other times I'm just lazy. So there's that. The ring originally, this little hoop, was going to be like flower filled, but I ended up only making it up by her hands be a little bit flower filled. I didn't go crazy with it. I feel like there's enough flowers on her outfit and in her bosom area that it kind of conveys the story already that I'm trying to. So I honestly adored that. This piece I can't really talk about much. Like, there's not much going on in this piece, and it's just kind of basic. There's not much inspiration behind it that I can think of, so you can interpret really whatever you want with it. It's kind of like a blank canvas. with colorings, I wanted to go more cool toned, so that's what I did. I made her skin blue and tried to add in like the pops of like a very pale skin tone as I was rendering it. The flowers I just kind of did whatever on, and I didn't really shade them much. I got bored of that. I really got bored on this piece when it came to rendering, so I didn't do much. You can see me work a little bit here and there. I'm trying to add color into her face. The whole thing with this piece was like color. I wanted it to really scream that she was freezing, and to do that I added in blues, purples. I made the reds pop out completely, like the blood and the heat that it would be coming off of it. I wanted that to have that feel, so I added more reds to those spots, and I feel like I got the message I wanted to across really well in this piece. But other than that, like, it just feels kind of dull to me. It's like kind of plain Jane, like you can't even really tell it's about insects. So I'm not really that happy with this piece given the prompt I was supposed to be drawing. I didn't do bees all over or turn her into a bees. I definitely could have turned her into a bees. I could have been more creative with it, but at the time I was absolutely adoring this piece. I thought it was my next Mona Lisa, and coming back to look at it now as I'm doing this voiceover, I don't really enjoy it as much as I do the other ones I've drawn, but that's just foresight. I still think it's a good piece, and I love the clothing wrinkles, and everything I learned from it is just amazing. And here's the final product. So for this piece, it's Hamahaki, and I've done drawings with this in the past. It's honestly my favorite trope, and I was happy. I'm sorry this is very pixelated for the speed paint, but I wrote a whole fucking poem for this one, so I will read you that, and then hopefully I'll have time to talk about this piece more after. So without further ado, flowers, I used to love them. I put them all over. I grew them in my garden, and then I met you. And then they started growing in my lungs, taking my breath away, as if you decided that I didn't deserve to breathe. I was blindsided by it, although fickle and fake, making my lungs burn in the most painful way. As flowers bloomed in them, I only saw the pain you caused when the flowers started blooming from my skin and blood pooling around them. Loving you is painful, like putting your hands on a hot stove and smiling as my skin melted into it. Loving you broke down my defenses, making me blind to your flaws until the rose-tinted glasses fell off by force, and I was no longer myself, but your favorite flower. So cut screwed me over, and I lost some of my voiceover footage, but I'll try and say what I said. So for this piece, it was more inspired by like abusive relationships, and I also wanted hints of the fear of drowning in here too, because when I think of Hamahaki, I feel like it relates very closely to suffocation. And usually when you think of suffocation, you think of drowning, having your breath not be available because there's too much water that would fill your lungs, and just that idea. So you can see I tried to go with more blues and reds in this piece. I wanted it to look like she's crawling towards the camera, so that's why I chose this pose in particular. I wanted it to look like she was trying to crawl away from the situation she was in into a better situation, but she is drowning. The flowers I chose are forget-me-nots. I know they don't look like them, but I wanted to go with the color palette at least. I added bubbles in the background, and I went with very dark shading, and I just wanted it to make it look like she was underwater. She's trying to desperately claw her way out, but there's also that sense of she doesn't want to, because change is scary. And maybe she finds comfort in loving this person, but at the same time she can't because it breaks her down too much. So I just wanted to just keep in that feel, and I also wanted it to look like it was physically breaking her with the flowers popping out of her skull. So here's the progress shots, and I hope you enjoyed this piece. On to the next. So we come to our next prompt, plague. Now this piece I'm not very proud of, as I've very heavily referenced the original piece, and it's very pixelated. The speed paint is very pixelated. But usually when I reference pieces, I don't want to go too closely to the original, but I feel like with this one, it was like almost an exact replica of the original, just with my characters, and I don't like that, honestly. I found the reference on Pinterest, and I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do for plague? I didn't know what to do, so yeah, I got this piece. I decided to go with the same after seeing this reference image, and I wanted it to make the woman in the photo look like she has signs of like a plague, where she has like black spotting on her face and she looks pale and sickly, and her hair is like really short. Maybe because it fell out, maybe it's because of her own decision, I don't know. Again, I'm sorry for this piece being so tiny and so pixelated in this. Like, that's how it came out of Procreate, because it decided to be itty bitty in the thing and not like the canvas size for some reason. I don't know. After this, I promise the speed paints will look normal, but I hope you can forgive me on this one. I was so upset. But you can see I took the main focus and I just like focused on her. The guy in the corner was just there. Honestly, I didn't do much with him, but yeah, I'm very disappointed in myself with this piece. It's just, I was doing so amazing, and then I hit this piece and I'm like, oh, this is where my creative juices were starting to like die out, because these like popped out one after the next in like the span of a few days. Like, I was really hyper fixated on drawing and getting stuff done for Goretober, and that's why these came out so quickly, and I feel like I was starting to get in like a little rut, like a creative rut. So I feel like that's why this piece turned out the way it did. But it's still pretty. Like, I still did a good job on it. I wouldn't say it's bad in any sense. I'd just say it's not my best work and not what I would have wanted for this. But honestly, I didn't want to do a plague doctor, and I wanted this piece to have character, and this was the only way I could really think of. Honestly, I just went ham with the colors. I went in to make it like these were characters. Maybe this is Lucien and his dead wife, where he painted this picture of her when she was sick with the plague, and that's just how it turned out. So here's the progress photos more clearly, and on to the next. Another one where I started off and was like, I don't know what to do. Like, cannibalism, how are you supposed to draw that without getting like absolutely struck on all platforms? I'm like, you know what, it's Goretober, let's go ham. If I get fucking, I don't know, let it happen. Honestly, I was loving this piece, but I feel like the colors fucked it up, like always. But this piece was going well. I decided to have an ear in her mouth and a head on her knee. I felt like this position would be more of a hostage situation. I wanted it to look like she had been kidnapped with a bunch of other girls and women, children, or whatever, and they hadn't been feeding them, and she got desperate, like very desperate, and survival is the fittest. So I made her clothes look absolutely fucking ragged and torn. Her hair was like more of a wild cut. I made this head character have like a same like wild cut on her hair. I wanted it to look like a basement scene, so that's what I did. Put a light in the background, and I decided that that was going to be my main source of light. I had this color palette I wanted to use for the plague that I didn't use, so I decided to use for this drawing, and I just went fucking ham. I feel like I was doing so good. I was coloring well. Like, everything was looking cohesive. It wasn't looking like shit. I got to the head, and I'm like, it's not the best, but whatever. Did the background. Background looked nice. Background looked really fucking nice. I sized her down because I realized she was too big for the background. So yeah. And then I started on the blood, and everything was going bomb as hell. I was loving it. I was goring it up. I was doing my fucking thing. And then rendering popped in, and I was like, you know what? Everything I've done here, yeah, we're gonna hide it because I'm like that. Because I'm like that. So, I tried to dirty her. I made her look dirty. I made her knees look dirty, her hands bloody. I tried to add like rope marks from like lack of circulation on her arms. I feel like you can still see that in the final piece. One of the only things you can still fucking see. I worked a lot with overlays and lighting layers with this. Definitely very bright. Just like playing with everything. I could have stopped here. Everything looked good here. But I didn't. I did this shit. Like, now here, yeah, that's another good place I could have stopped. And then I got to the end. And then I fucked it up. That's the best I can say. I was loving this piece. You can tell with how many, like, work in progress photos you guys are getting here. And then this is what I came out to. But anyway, that was the first set of goretober drawings that I have done. Now, let me know what you guys think, how you guys are feeling after this one. Are you excited for the next video? Like, what are your thoughts? I will respond. I am somebody who actively responds to comments. I enjoy getting comments, so please, if you like this video, please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content and would like to see anything further in the future. But to be fair, you do not have to if you do not like my content. That is completely fine. You can just skip away from this video, or we can just go off with agreement that you do not like my content or my art, and that is completely fine. Anyway, have a awesome goretober, you guys, and have a happy Halloween.